Hello, this is J.N.S, and I just want to do another impromptu video because really just have been thinking lately about like my stance on the whole Diaspora Wars, Black Americans versus the Africans, and my role that I played in that for like the last 3 years, well, the last 2 years since 2021. And I'm doing this video in particular because I have had um my own self-reflections with this and just thinking and um you know that introspection process that I've been going through in regards to this whole diaspora wars and the rift between the Black Americans and Africans. And so um with me, you guys know I'm a very deep thinker by now, and so I want to just give like an update on like where do I stand on this whole thing, because a lot of my thinking on this has evolved. And so I personally wanted to just give some thoughts on my whole take on what's going on now and what I foresee as a prophet and as a intuitive. And so I'm not making this video so I can convince anybody what they need to do or how they should look at it or try to, force my perspective on anyone or on Black Americans for that matter. I'm just simply stating my observations as a strategist of what I see, uh, my role in everything, and also what I contributed, good and bad. And so we're gonna start with, with the obvious. Everybody knows, okay, J.N.S, for 2 years you were on this delineation. You were certainly a proponent of delineation in terms of Black Americans collating their culture and preserving their ethnicity, their identity, and really coming forward and being very unapologetic about that. And so do I still feel that way? Yes. However, there's a lot of nuance and a lot of follow-up that I want to give. So 2 years ago, I really had a bone to pick with the Africans. I'm not going to hold you. I didn't like the way they had treated me in the past. I didn't like the things that I saw systematically being done in terms of uh what other Black Americans were saying was happening within our community with the Africans, and particularly immigrants. This had nothing to do with anybody on the continent, I would say. But from what I gathered, there was this notion that African immigrants were coming to America and being largely and vastly disrespectful to Black Americans while simultaneously cosplaying as them, simultaneously partaking in elements of their culture in a disrespectful way, trying to lay ownership to their culture, trying to lay ownership to their identity, in every aspect, in a very evasive, intrusive way, while being wildly disrespectful to Black Americans in terms of the insensitivity to our experiences and culture, saying that we have no culture and just being completely out wild. And then even in those interpersonal relationships that we would have with Africans, whether that be males or females, friendships, relationships, we witness that disrespect towards Black Americans as an ethnicity. And so in 2018, the reparations thing has started to really pick up, and particularly with the ADOS movement, and shortly followed by the FBA. But what was taking place is what we noticed is when the reparations really started to take steam, then all of a sudden, all of these melanated immigrants would rush in to try to take control over the narrative of who should get it, who shouldn't, or try to convince the group that actually dealt with the grievances of slavery and Jim Crow, tried to make a case how they should be included in that, even though they had just like gotten to the country within like the last 20, 30 years, or even later. And so that caused beef. that caused a rift because like we had all this evidence that they didn't want to be called black, that they were calling us cicadas, that they were doing all of this horrific things, even going so far as to say we have no culture, that we deserve to be enslaved, that that's why you got enslaved, that that's why you deserve to be lynched and stuff. And so all that was very triggering to proponents of history and culture such as myself and many um of the black Americans who are into politics or educated, or those of us that really know what's going on, and even in the grassroots levels, that just really got us riled up. And so in 2021 is when I became very, very, very vocal about what was happening to that ethnic group, the Black American ethnic group, would you? And then there's rifts between that, right? So you have the Black Americans, but then you have the black indigenous, then within the black indigenous you have a group that does not like to be called black at all. They like to be called American Indian. And then you have the group that fights very fervently to be called black indigenous or black Indians. And so then you have those that think we just are all African. They're pan-African. We all come from Africa and we need to suck it up, and they hate the black Indians, and these are black Americans, by the way. And they're calling themselves whatever, Freemans, black, what, black American, whatever. So it's just a mess, and you have the FBA and you have the ADOS, and then you have it just so um. But within that, I always saw it as just like this is one ethnicity, whatever. I personally never got into the name banging. Um, I just always looked at it as a bigger picture. Then there was this big debate in Black American culture whether or not we should even be calling ourselves Black. I understood both sides. I understood what both was saying, you know. And then there was, the more sentiment morphed its way into that, along with the American Indian sentient of whether we should be saying we're black, and the black codes and the law of water and the law of the land regarding uh the these dictionaries and legalese and whatnot. And so all of that, I personally, as a scholar, I thought that these were very uh warranted conversations to have. I really did, and I thought they were very fascinating for me as as someone with a sociology background. That's something that would be, that would get my rocks off, to be honest, just sitting and watching like people discuss how they see that identity, and how they and their arguments for why they see it the way they see it. And so that was very, very fascinating to me. And so one thing though about being a participant observationist, and by that, that's someone who's researching while simultaneously being a member of that community, is that it becomes hard to pick sides. And that's where, and that can be very dangerous. There's some dangers to not being able to pick a side, right? And then there's also some great creativity that can come out of that too. The ability to hold two opposing ideas in one head, and the ability to see nuance where other people cannot see nuance, just dichotomy, leads to great creativity. However, when you're unable to pick a side, you could end up being the person that both sides gang up on, that both sides lose respect for, and whatnot, and that both sides just like, okay, whatever, you can't make a decision, we'll move on, you know. And so that's always the danger. And I always knew that. And so I one thing about me is I don't get too emotionally attached to anything, particularly processes, certainly not people or things or even places. But so while I'm very emotionally attached to the idea of justice and to the idea of people who are being treated wrong, I'm always going to be a proponent of that, because that's in my nature. I The frivolous things, and the methodologies, and the name banging, and the drama, will you, that I never really got attached to. I didn't have emotional attachment to none of it, really, not even the debate about like whether we should be calling ourselves black or not. I personally didn't give a shit about that. Whether we what name we choose, I really didn't give a shit about that either. And so that comes with that nuance. And so I say that to say that, yeah, the thing with the Black Americans, and their grievances and their ideas about justice are obviously very, very, very much warranted. Um, the thing is, I personally today in 2023, as far as this diaspora war with the rift with the Africans, I just feel like it's a lot of misguided energy with it. Um, I feel that now, we have to be a lot more sophisticated in our thinking in terms of like this us versus them mentality and how we're going to go about justice and our methodologies for doing that. I know that there's a lot of controlled opposition into this whole space, and so that's why I actually kind of gracefully bowed out, because I'm like, okay, you guys clearly cannot see a fucking agent to save your life, and you guys are going off of a cliff here, and I'm not about to be the one that gets silenced because I'm the real deal. And then it's like you got a bunch of motherfuckers that's like, okay, she's putting too much strategy out, she's thinking too hard about this, and she's not controlled and she's not bought. And so that make me in that space, for the power players, the gatekeepers, those that's actually in, not the grassroots, but like those that's actually running this whole psyop, they zeroed in on me because of that. And it was like either you get with this program or you move the fuck on. And so my decision was to for me to it's not that I moved on, it's just more so I decided to build my own silos. However slow that takes, however, I don't even care who listens, who that's just not why I came here. Um and so I'm still going to continue with what I believe in, and say what things I want to say. I just am not going to try to infiltrate spaces that I know are already infiltrated with psyops and with controlled opposition and with bullshit. It's a mess, and distraction. And so, what I personally think that in today's time, the conversation of what we were going to do in regards to getting reparations, in regards to collating culture and preserving culture, that should be much more advanced to me. And I have produced material. It's not like I'm just talking shit on the sidelines. Like, I've produced material to advance that conversation significantly. I've produced research material, apparatuses to propel Black Americans in a singularity consciousness in terms of strategy, in terms of working together, in terms of developing our own governance, and in terms of developing our own parallel infrastructures to this system. All of that's already produced. I've done my part. And whatever comes with that. And so when I see the how behind we are as a group because of this distractions, and one of the biggest distractions is to get us focused on fighting with these melanated immigrants and these Africans. Now, put checking people, getting on a bumper, and really, letting it be known like where we stand on things in regards to that. I understand that. I've always understood that. For 2 years, like in the social media space, I've been very vocal about Black Americans, gatekeeping Black Americans, setting forth that ethnogenesis of their identity, and collating that in real time, and building um community around that. And so I've been a big proponent of that. I've cussed out plenty of Africans. Like, it got really bad. Like, I damn near damaged my reputation amongst Africans because I was going so hard at them. And I never had a real issue with them. I just wanted them to know, like, okay, if we really in this fight, you guys are claiming we need to fight white supremacy and da da da, but you not really do holding your weight. And or you guys are saying we need justice and da 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 as Africans, but you not really, helping my people. And so I was vocal about that. And but I never really in my heart like hated Africans. I was very annoyed with some of them, because you can't paint a broad brush like that with uh melanated people on the continent. That's just stupid. And so where I stand, where I do feel that there are separate ethnicities within melanated people. That's very true. They're not even separate, separate ethnicities. It gets way deeper than that, but I won't go there. I'll keep this more educated base and not so esoteric and whatnot, or or metaphysical rather. But yes, there are separate ethnicities amongst melanated people that should be respected and that should be appreciated and that should be acknowledged. And so that was always my argument with when it comes to the Black American ethnicity, that we are a ethnicity that do not have to share our culture, do not have to share our identity with anyone outside of America. Um, and not just outside of America, but outside of those who have not been here since the foundation of America, and even before the construction of the Corporation of America itself. And so I'm always going to stand on that. That's just common sense. However, the methodology in which we are using to to make that point, I no longer agree with. I no longer agree with the us versus them mentality. I agree with building a silos of consciousness based on being like minded, based on the same interests and goals and strategies. And that is why I had came up with the entrusted melanism framework, because again, there are some severe shortcomings in Pan Africanism, and I do feel that Pan Africanism was a psyop of the Western Citadel, to placate Black Americans and Africans from actually coming up with any real solidifying strategy to get themselves into a power position. I will always feel that about Pan Africanism. I'm saying this as a scholar. However, if you're going to make such a statement like that, it's like, okay, so what do you think we should do? Well, what are your theories? What are your ideas? What do you contribute as a scholar then? And so I wrote the Entrusted Melanism framework that gives you um, strategies on procuring land, procuring how to work with one another, examples of how that will look. And it was a reiterative process based on the tribal, regional, national, and then finally the global level of how you would reiterate a process of strategies and interests and goals based on those who wanted to work together cross tribal lines. So, that obviously Black Americans have our specific goals and our specific interests, and it had, say in space and time where there would be like another tribe, say it in Africa or even say it in the Caribbean, that shared those same goals and wanted to develop strategy with us. The entrusted melanism framework will allow for that. It also exposes the tribes that align against us, and so that's what I carved out. I carved that out through strategy, through military science, through examples, and through studying history and through studying Africans and studying Black Americans. And so I came up with the entrusted melanism framework that is way ahead of its time, but it gives examples of how would you actually work together, for those who want to. How would someone in Senegal from the Wolof tribe, say the Wolof tribe decides they have something in common with another neighboring tribe about a particular issue, a particular logistical issue for just those for just that particular region. They would come up with, there's a plan, a step by step plan, a whole framework that they would follow in that book that would allow that to get that done. And then say other people come, other neighboring tribes, or maybe even a whole country. Say Ghana says, "Oh, we like what Senegal that tribe did, and we want to adopt that too." That framework allows for that. And say maybe, Black Americans, they have, and the beautiful thing about entrusted melanism framework is that every melanated tribe in the world can use that framework for different purposes, for their own needs as a tribe and as a nation, for their own interests and strategies, and it's still for their best interest as a melanated group. Then if they want to, they can go and join in with neighboring tribes and neighboring nations if they want to. And so, as a thinker, I was thinking, okay, so what about the people that do want to work together? Black Americans who, who realize, okay, there's money to be made, and there's ways that we could, like, just to say, like, just for instance, if Black Americans were to get their reparations and they were to want to get into the oil industry, they would have to go to, or even certain like industries where Africa still has a hold on, like say Ghana, the coca business. and they wanted to infiltrate coca industry, you know, and they had the money, and they had the backing, and they had the power base, and then they had to go to the government of Ghana and make those deals, and negotiate that. And the entrusted melanism framework would help them. And this entrusted melanism framework, somebody contacted me and told me that seven state attorney generals were complaining about me from after I had produced this book, by the way. And so, obviously this stuff is shadow banned, but I know 100 years from now, 200 years from now, is like, what the hell did this alien, this goddess, gave all this information to you niggas? Was just like, what were you guys doing? And so I'm way ahead of my time, and I'm okay with that. But that's what the entrusted melanism framework was for. And say, for like instance, for Black Americans, they want to be more siloed right now, through the delineation. They can use entrusted melanism framework to carve out strategies for how they would get reparations, for how they would actually get land, for how they would procure institutions, build institutions. It's literally laid out there. Like, it's like the framework literally talks about how you would build institutions. How would you What kind of military science strategies can you enact? What kind of shows of resistance can you do? You know, and so it's there, and that is what I mean where I said, like, progressing the conversation uh so advanced, for our people, because for one, we can handle it. We're certainly intelligent enough, but it's urgent, and to me, it was needed. It's like, okay, so we're talking about Black Americans being genocided, but then we sitting on our hands, and niggas just want to get famous off of reparations space and all this weird shit, and that shit was weird to me. And so I was just like, you know what, I'm not cut out for the fuckery and the fakery. um and so I noticed, as I started to produce more and more strategies, it started to put more and more a target on my back, because, to be honest, and I remember, people from the American Indian, the indigenous community, they was warning me about that, and they were warning Black Americans in general. They were like, look, these rich, these niggas that got money are not about to, they not there to really fight for reparations for y'all. Like, they monitoring this shit. They are controlled opposition, or they're gatekeeping, or they are um running the social engineering aspect of how Black Americans respond in real time to their injustice. And so a lot of the indigenous, Black indigenous, they knew, they peeped game of who were the government operatives, who were the controlled opposition, and they would say, like, this reparations thing, the way y'all going about it through the politics, it's foolish. And they said that 2 years ago, and I remember thinking, like, well, because I was, with me, I still had that energy where, like, okay, let's do this politically, because you know I was still in that learning process. To be honest, I was very much in that learning process, and I did uh take a lot of my learning lessons from people who were in politics. Just, I'll just be very frank. And I am more of a listener, and I'm very open minded. So when I hear things, I'll be open to it. Versus, a lot of Black Americans, when they hear something, and if it's even just a little bit of something they don't agree with, they'll shut the whole thing down. And that's what happened with the Freeman stuff, by the way. And with me, I had liked what Freeman stuff were. Initially, I liked it. I thought it was a clever idea. I just think that the leaders and their methodology, once again, was terrible. It's as simple as that. And their strategy was terrible for Black Americans at large. Um, and so they were perceived as operatives by the grassroots, by many of the grassroots, indigenous and ADOS, and even FBA. So I'm just speaking as a sociologist. They viewed the freedmen as government operatives, many of them, at least the ones that were saying they were the leaders, not like the average day Black American who probably just didn't know anything and heard about the ideology, and thought it was cool, or maybe even had it in their genealogy. I was one of the ones that thought it was cool. And so I never had an issue with them. I peeped some shit, I peeped things, and I thought it was, I'm like, okay, I personally like that character. I don't like that methodology, but I thought overall that they had something cool that I knew they were going to screw up, because too much of that operative, too much of that think tank type of energy from governmental bureaucracy energy that was getting in it, and I just was like, that's gonna turn off our people. They ain't gonna rock with that shit. And that's exactly what happened. Um, but yeah, so to me, it's like, obviously we had these issues with Pan Africanism, we had these issues with the immigrants, and it was just like my contribution, and this is what I really want on record. My final contribution to that diaspora war shit is the entrusted melanism framework. I'm not about to have my legacy out here like I contributed to melanated people fighting like cats and dogs when they had a behemoth of a system that was literally tearing them from the inside out, when they had the manpower, the intelligence, and the numbers to actually, and actually if we want to go there, in the cosmic level, the fucking neuromelanin to uh turn, as Kanye West would say, for those who know, even the gnostics, to turn that whole video game psyop, this whole reality, this whole system on its head. And so I'm not about to be out here like with the childish, us against them, like, okay, we got to fight these Africans, da da da, these Africans, da 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 da. I'm not about to have that my legacy. My legacy is entrusted melanism. Okay, I want that on record. Where I bridge the gap between enabling, coming up with a theory that allows for Black Americans and all melanated people wherever they are in the world to collate their culture, preserve their identity, love their culture, embrace their culture. But when they want to work with one another, when they find it necessary, they will work with one another. If they don't, and they need strategies, and they need uh, ideas and tactics to get them more empowered, and trusted melanism is there with a framework. And so that is my contribution to that space. Trusted melanism, also Black American alchemy reservoir, teaching Black Americans the collective consciousness of our alchemy as a group, as a people. That's another contribution that I made to that space. The Black American alchemy reservoir, which talks about genealogy, which talks about um, the collective consciousness of Black Americans, and that is also a process. I talk about I mean, there's strategies for that as well, and so that's another contribution that I left to that space, to that whole reparations, black pro black shit, and so um, that is that's where I leave it at when it comes to um, melanated people working together, and so I'm always going to do work in this space. But it's just it's going to be so drastically different. And I would just be building my own silos of consciousness with that. Um, with people I'll be building my own silos of consciousness with people who understand my frequency and my wavelength. Um, and so that's where I'm at with that. Oh yeah, and another thing, I felt that this idea of the way we go about reparations. Um, I always obviously agree with the idea of justice and recompense and restoration, restitution. Obviously, no one who is in our community that's well studied, that has been studying this for years and understands our history, would disagree with reparations. I just want to challenge, and this won't become clear and understanding probably to like 50 to 100 years from now. But I just want to challenge Black Americans to understand the difference between what a 3D reparations would look like compared to, say, 9D, 12D, 20D, 45D reparations. Um, and what that looks like to take control over a system through these 9D, 12D, I would say at least 7D reparations, right? And so my thing is, I'm seeing Black Americans, they're going through for the 3D reparations, which is we go to the government, the same government that has a vested interest in locking us out, and the same government that put us in this position, and we're going to, with no methodology, rather, with no clear strategy, somehow uh, get them or convince them to give us reparation checks with money that they really don't have. As we know, America's in trillions of debt, um, and they're gonna just give us millions of dollars in reparations. Um, I guess from some sort of moral turpitude, but yet they never apologize for slavery. They never apologize for anything. They've never even acknowledged what they've done as wrong. And so somehow though, from the 3D level, we're gonna have these bulle niggas and some of these gatekeepers politically go through this process of getting us a reparations check from, I guess, Congress or whoever would vote on this stuff, the Democrats and Republicans, all this nonsense. And so this is very 3D thinking. It's not even, I mean, it isn't even 3D thinking. You have no leverage. You lost your leverage. You're not developing ways to, you're not, the methodology is not evolving. And so, um, I'm not saying don't go for reparations. Don't, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is crafting out that strategy for getting there becomes very important. Also, you're going to have to take this way above their pay grade in consciousness. To be honest, some of us, I remember listening to a sister, and she was saying, like, you guys are going for these physical reparations, and what about, this reparations from this spiritual standpoint, or this reparations from you looking at 3D reparations, but what if you can get access to a 9D reparations check, to a 10D, 12D reparations check? That has nothing to do with this system. That's not telling you got to say you an African in order to get a check, or you got to act like you from Africa, or you got to make a deal with the fucking devil damn near to get access to to reparations money and all this crap and all the and contracts and da 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 with the government and da 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 all this stupid shit. Um there's ways around that. And I would say melanated people, Black Americans, are doing themselves a disservice to think that they're going to go into that line of fire and that lion's den of inequity and somehow get a check for the situation that they actually, if it's for slavery. That's why when I talked about the theoretical framework of the genocide, that would have been a much more cogent basis to root your the check in, because it at least would have covered the things you are going through now that you can actually tangibly prove, and well, evidentially prove, rather empirically prove. And so that would have been a much more to me a more sound aspect. Again, you have these gatekeepers and these niggas that you think are really, they are the ones that's controlling this narrative. And when you bring stuff like that, they're the ones that saying, no, we have to go by slavery. You have to say that you came off a slave boat. And this is all high level. This is all control from the top. And so that's why it's not getting anywhere. You're talking about you're from Africa and all this stuff, and it's never going to get anywhere. And you got people that's willing to sell y'all out with that narrative. As simple as that. And so, um, we can see that, and so a lot of us, some of us that conceive in multi dimensions, we are looking at this from a place of like, well, we need at least 7D reparations. If you can get 7D reparations and get on the collective consciousness uh, in mind, I guarantee you that you won't be thinking about a 3D reparations check, because you would have control over the fucking system. Okay, and that's at least 7D. That's at least you activate. Black Americans truly understood who they were. They can at least get up to 20D. 20D. And we're talking about 20D reparations where you're controlling the weather at least. I won't say you're controlling the weather. You won't control the weather at 30, 20D. You control it at 45D at least. But you would at least be able to control the fucking internet. You can be able to turn off the internets and shit and turn off, seriously. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And so that requires, again, the Black American knowing exactly who they are, even even for the Africans who have been going through what they're going through in Africa, the things they've been going through. If they get up to that 20D, even just 70, you won't even be thinking about a 3D check from the government. And so for those of us who can see that, we're kind of looking like, what the hell? is going on, and I was really into that. Like, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I would have went up there in Congress, I would have busted in the White House and got that and wrote that check ourselves if I could. You have no idea. Like, I'm still on that. The thing is, I understand how this system is really ran. David Icke tried to tell us. People was, laughing, saying, "Oh, he crazy." Kanye West tried to tell us. If you listen to that first Drink Champs interview in 2021, he gave you the whole key to how the system is being fucking ran. And you see how they came after him. He been trying to tell you. Didn't he tell you when they tried to lock him up when they 5150 his ass? When he was telling you was, oh, so and so, you went to go play with aliens. You went to go blah 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 blah. And he's spilling the beans, and everybody thinking he fucking crazy. That nigga was not crazy, not by a long shot. Wake up, wake your ass up. And so, when he was talking about 5D chess, like we playing 5D chess out here, da 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 da. Yeah, they really playing 5D chess. Now it's about to be 7D chess. And what I'm trying to say is, Black Americans, they get on at least 7D collectively. You don't even need all 40 million of us. You get about 50,000. 50,000. Oh, y'all motherfuckers get a check, all right. You could write the check your damn self. You get up there, and I know this is high level shit, and I know it's like it'll take about 100 years for you guys to understand me, but I'm trying to speak to the ones that at least can get it, the ones that it's like, okay. And I'm not saying don't stop doing what you're doing and da da da. I'm just saying to raise your frequency for the level of conversation around this. Uh for collectively so high to where nobody can even really understand how you guys can understand what you guys are saying. You guys can communicate with one another. You guys get it. You guys can even, telepathically communicate at this point. And so you guys are on a level where you just way over you just you're creating a parallel universe, the IPU in real time. You're controlling the video game in real time. And so that's what I would say Black Americans should be focused on. Now, are we gonna get there? Probably not. For one, you niggas love entertainment. You niggas love drama. You niggas love fighting with each other. You niggas get jealous very quickly. You crabs in a barrel. You're in survival mode. You get very, very jealous of each other. So, um, I would hope I'm wrong on that. I would love to eat these words. I would love to eat them. Uh, I really would. But I've been studying my community for a very long, very, very, very long time. And I've been assessing, and I've always been more of the grassroots type, very raw and filtered, not controlled. I'm not in any groups or anything like that, and so I'm pretty much I can say and say what I want. That doesn't mean people don't come after me. I mean, I'm heavily surveillance, but I'll still say what I still speak my truth, right? Um, but the thing is, the reason why my energy is not like as potent, like let's see, I'm gonna be real. With certain people left in that reparation space, it took a steam out of the movement, and I know I'm one of those people for a fact. I know I'm one of those people. There's some others. There are some others. A lot of people that would never get like Asia Stormy. I probably would never know who that is, but she was a wild one, very genius mind. A couple others, a lot of the American Indians that left, that has said fuck it, like some of those women. I'm telling you, like once our energy, once people was trying to either sacrifice us or try to put us, once we was, you know, once we had to deal with the bullshit that came with that, and we decided, you know what, I'm taking a step back. That took a lot of the steam out of that space, and you can feel it. Now, will people admit that? Probably not. But I can feel it. I can see it. And I knew like when certain players took their energy out of that, if they took their energy out of that, it would dampen. It will fall. And so my energy is out of 3D based reparations. Now, if we're gonna go higher, you guys want to build a collective consciousness around 70, at least 70 reparations. You can try to do 20D. You guys will have to really, 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 you know, be open minded. But that's what I'm on. I'm gonna just be real frank. I'm not about to sit and play in the devil's playground with this politics shit, with this nonsense, acting like we about to go and have Congress write a check for 40 million niggas for slavery. from the transatlantic slave trade. It's not happening. Now, if you guys make a case for genocide and you start to fight this legally and perhaps politically, but through the legal matter, if you guys build enough leverage where you pulling out your energy out of the system itself, you pulling out your whole energy out of it, and that requires you building your own parallel infrastructures. I already built um, infrastructure. I already built frameworks for that as well. The enterprise architecture for the Queen Mothership. Um, you guys can well get there, but you have to be a power player. You have to think in terms of power. You have to think in terms of networking and team building amongst with each other, and less with the ego, and less with the individualistic thing, and less with the crab in a barrel, damn near slave mentality is what I see. And so that space is going is it's not going to get anywhere with the players that be the current players that's in the game and what's on the board, and with the methodology and a lack of strategy, the current methodology and a lack of strategy, that someone that studies systems and that looks at this stuff as a high level interdimensional player, yeah, I can see very clearly that where it's going. And so that doesn't mean that Black Americans give up on their ideas of justice, because justice will reign. We will see justice, and we will see not just Black Americans, but we're going to see humanity overall be become more enlightened. We're going to see humanity become more self-aware. You're going to see more revelations, more justice. You are going to see this. You are going to see a new day. We are moving into a new paradigm. We're already there for many of us, but you are going to see things work in our favor more as a community. It's just not going to be through the way you're thinking. It's not going to be through no picket signs. It's not going to be through no uh marching, through no reparations town hall, reparations meetings, and all this nonsense. It's not going to be through none of that. It's not. This is going to be very interdimensional. This is going to be very metaphysical. And so uh I just know my community has a lot of catching up to do with that. And so for those of us that still like, okay, we believe in justice, and we believe that the universe bends towards justice, and we believe in doing things through ethics, and in our we keep hold of our righteousness, and we keep hold of um doing things in a balanced way, you know, we will get there. We will, that's still going to be a thing. But the current crap, the current 3D reparations based type mode, that that is not going to really do anything. It's not really going to amount to much. It is what it is. Now, as far as the stuff with the Africans, I would say Black Americans, again, think of power. If you were really getting a power position, would you want 1.2 billion Africans on the continent of Africa mad at your ass because you can't, because you guys, you know, can't find a way to get along or find a way to network, at least to make some money together, or to at least control the entire narrative. And that means having some alliances and some allies. And I'm not talking about allies in a sense of where because we need allies in a system of white supremacy. I'm talking about allies in a system of where the tribe of Judah, the how do I say this without throwing people off, where the Black Americans are running the system. And that's where my mind is at. My mind, I can't think of it from the position of being a bottom player, because that's not, that's my mind is not in that thinking. You can't take my level of thinking, my level of genius and creativity, and put it in that position of victim mode, or the position of a crab in a barrel mentality or slave mentality. I can't think of it like that. I think of control of systems. I think of power. And so I'm saying this from the position of like, how do we I'm already there, and you have to willed things into existence as a group. And so what I would tell Black Americans, like, you have to will this into your favor through consciousness, through quantum tunneling, and you will get there. You will jump there. And in terms of your position of power, in terms of seeing a new day. And at that point, and I'm already thinking from that perspective, okay, we need allies from the position of running the system, not from the position of playing from the bottom. And right now, what's happening is Black Americans are playing from the bottom, and they're like, "Fuck everybody else," and da da da. And then the Africans are like, "Okay, well, we gonna play the system too. Then we gonna align with white supremacy against you. Continue to take your jobs. Continue to cosplay your identity so that we get access to your resources. We don't really give a fuck because you guys are, whatever. We it's every man for himself. This is how they are thinking. This is how people are thinking. And so I would encourage Black Americans to see themselves as like the global leaders of all melanated people. And they're not responsible for all melanated people. They're not responsible, or they're not the ones that need to sacrifice, or the ones that need to give to our culture or an identity. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, from that power position, you are the one controlling the video game. As simple as that. For those who get it, get it. Please understand what I'm saying. You are the one that makes the power moves, whether that be for Africa, whether that be for the Caribbean, but you're looking out for everyone's best interest. And you such a fair power base, you such a fair people, you're such an intelligent, marvelous people that the whole that people really don't have a problem with your leadership. That people really don't have a problem with acquiescing to your plans and your frameworks and your systems, and because they're fair and they're balanced and they're helping everyone, and so they're going to help you. It's like, okay, it's like what you need us to do. Okay, because you're the big dog, and you the one that's giving the strategies for us. You the one that we following your strategy. We're following your leadership. That's really what I see from my people. I've always approached it from that way. Always seen that way. I always carried myself that way. And so I don't know that's I don't know what else to be. And so that is why a lot of the Africans always respected me. That is why a lot of the Black Americans always respected me in the Caribbeans, because I've always seen it as a position where, for one, justice first and foremost, and then two, that balance, that where everyone interests and goals and needs get met, and how do we build out those frameworks for that. And as a leader, this is what I propose. And if you guys don't like it, if you guys want to advance it, add to it, tweak it, that's fine. But that is the motive I've always that's the mode I've always operated from. And that's how I've always seen my people. I've always seen our group collectively as the ones that should be making the decisions and should be in that position um of the game controller, and not at the bottom, not you know at the bottom end of some damn bootstrap and all that shit. Like, hell no. But I know that we have to do that through the quantum tunneling. You have to get metaphysical with that shit. It ain't no other way. You are playing in a system, in a game, with power players that literally are not running this system from 3D, 4D, or 5D. And so Gnostics try to warn you 2,000 years ago. Yeshua tried to warn you 2,000. I mean, it's like everybody's been saying, we've been saying the same thing for thousands of years. Like, and if you're into materialism based thinking, you're still fighting from that realm. And you do have gatekeepers, and you do have power players that are actively trying to keep you on that low level. So I understand it's not really your fault entirely. But if you really trying to take control over the mainframe, yeah, you're gonna have to look at, and it should be very easy for us. We're already a spiritual people. This should be very easy. It should be nothing for the melanated people globally. It should be nothing. You don't want to. I mean, I'm serious. The systems that you have given birth to, the systems that you have created, the spiritual systems, the spiritual sciences that you have access to, the spiritual codes that you have access to, um, the realms that you have access to. It should be nothing. And that's why they freak out, and that's why they really can't stand my ass talking so much, because it's like that's really that's what they've That's how it's run, and that's what they've stolen from you, and that's what they obsessed with keeping from you, is that, because that's really your weapon. Because this is all, as we know, like Nikola Tesla said, you think of everything as energy, and everything will become much more clear for you. Everything, and interdimensional. So right now, we're obviously 3 to 5D. That whole space, I would have to say, is not 5D. They still on 3D shit, and so I can't even give it the 5D, but it's still energy. It's dense, but it's still energy, and that's the level of consciousness. So there's no judgment there. But what I'm saying is, um, if we want to evolve the conversation, the methodology, the strategies, if people really want to see change, like if you really want to see that, then um, that tasking work of developing the vibration, the frequency beyond the 3D, 4D, and 5D is what's going to become paramount. Because we're not just talking about like, oh, we need to go and the government need to get us a check. Like, you need to be running the government. It's like, why are you stopping? Why are you at that such a low level where you think, like, do you not see what they do up there? And it's like, do you not see how this shit is like standing by with one fucking leg? With one little knock, this whole thing crumbles. And it's like, y'all can't see that. Y'all can't feel that. There's already been glitches and all types of shit all up in this matrix. And so it's like, yeah, you better be thinking of how you gonna get up in that White House and how you gonna run this shit. And that's all I gotta say. Like Americans, like how you gonna get up in there and where I mean it should be. I mean, one day we get so high, I'm telling you, you go walk up in Congress and walk up in right over in the motherfucking Treasury, and you can see them printers where they printing out that money, where they print out the check, whatever. You gonna be able to write your motherfucking name right on that damn check, and print it out your damn self and walk out that bitch and go cash it. I'm serious. Dude, that's consciousness. IPU. Okay. And so I know we're not there yet, but I'm just I'm just speaking. And so yes, I no longer want to be fighting with fucking Africans. I totally wish Africans the best. I am open to building, especially with the African woman. It's time, it's the age of divine feminine. And so the African woman, she's gonna be tapping into her power. I like to network with African women. African women, we always, um, got along for generally, but there's been issues, where you guys have, yeah, I speak on it, but when it comes to like understanding the divine feminine and the metaphysics, like we've always, saw eye to eye on that at least. And so, yeah, I don't want to fight with any melanated people anymore. However, I do want to establish those boundaries. I do want to establish boundaries. I do want to establish, this is what I feel about my ethnicity and my culture, and I want to respect your culture, and I want to respect your space, and I demand that respect as well. And I also want to employ Africans themselves to also, you know, take pride in their culture, take pride in their particular tribe. Some of the tribes, their language is dying. Like the Igbo language in particular. Like it's a very emotional thing for them because I remember like there's a group, I think of some group on like Clubhouse, and they were talking about how like the Igbo language was dying and how emotional they were about it, and how they were pretty much just a club where you just speak Igbo so that they can keep their language alive. And so like something like that, is very important. And so I would say for those African tribes, to also embrace your culture. Don't get meshed into a crayon color, you know, on that continent with the black stuff. And to see yourself as a melanated cosmic people, and that's fine. But to also know that your history, your particular culture, your foods, your languages. are beautiful and worthy of preserving. You should want to preserve that, and you should demand that respect as well. But the Black American is also going to demand that respect of their culture and of their history, and of their contributions to melanated cosmos. Okay, and so that becomes very important, and so that's why entrusted melanism framework exists, so that you can do that, and so that you can work together while also establishing those clear boundaries and those and so um my harsh words about pan-africanism still stands. My harsh words towards those who are like wishing like death on my people and slavery and all that stuff, like that stuff still stands. However, I don't want to waste my energy uh and on the us versus them thing with the fighting with some damn Africans. That shit ain't gonna get nowhere. We in the fucking cosmic age. Sun Ra tried to tell y'all about 30 years ago that we moving in the space age. Um and it's about to get real. It's about to get real. Like, did y'all not see today? And this is funny because, and y'all know, a lot of the stuff that I had reported on in July is now classified information, and I know a lot of people was like, ain't nobody really calling me, y'all, oh, Kylie, is she crazy? Whatever. Yeah, motherfuckers ain't saying that shit now because y'all know how serious this shit was. The stuff I was saying back then when I was talking about like quantum entanglement and quantum tunneling and different dimensions and interdimensional beings and stuff. Why today, New York Post just posted Pentagon UF chief resigns after warning recent sightings could be foreign powers or aliens. That just literally posted today. Then I posted, what was this? I posted, let me get this one because this one is pretty cool too. Mind you, this was today, and they still looking like, and they sent little shots at me like, can you please just shut up because we trying to get it out there, but your ass, whatever. But also I want to get this out there. Okay, so it was mysterious radio signal reaches Earth after 8 billion years. So this was also like I want to say about maybe 2 weeks ago. Well, October 23rd. And so this was CBS News, by the way. So a distant galaxy sent an incredibly powerful blast of radio waves hurling through the universe that was as powerful as a sun. That it released as much energy as the sun emits over 30 years. Are you kidding me? I have felt all this stuff. When I was like, when people, were saying, "Oh, she's going," da, 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 da. Nah, man, y'all dealing with some shit that's so above y'all pay grade. That's not even funny. It's not even funny. It's damn near. It's still above my pay grade, but like, I was really like up there, like seeing all this shit in real time play out. Like, I was really like, my mind was seeing like this quantum. Like, I was just like, and it was real. It was real, and so with their quantum entanglement shit. And then after that, they try to send 200 fucking Starlink satellites up to the space to try to monitor quantum entanglement, quantum tunneling. Do not, there is not a satellite that is in existence that can stop these beings from getting through that shit. We're not communicating through the code that you guys are communicating through, by the way. So that Starlink stuff won't even work. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's not. It's above it's above that. As far as the code encryption, these are means that set this all in motion. They know what you guys have. And so mysterious radio signal reaches Earth within 8 billion years. Mind blowing. CBS News. I posted that up too. um and then there's another one. There was another one, and this is all within this year's. I made this announcement in July. uh my stuff disappeared, and I deleted a lot of it because I freaked out because I was seeing stuff too fast. And sometimes you go on the internet, you say stuff, and then you really could look crazy, right? When you're putting that information out there like that, it's just too advanced. But I remember telling certain people, you take a screenshot and don't share this until like, this shit comes out. I know for a fact that all of this stuff will come out, and then like them screenshots that people may have that they may release 20, 30 years from now, or whatever, they're gonna be like, yo, that lady was saying that shit, like, and they just now coming out with that. But you look at the time frame from when I put that out until all this stuff started coming out. And so, um, yeah, it's real. It's definitely going down in terms of this dimensional shift, the when they talk about the 5D and all that stuff. And these remember that show on Howard Stern when that guy was freaking out talking saying, the guy that worked for Harp, was it Harp? Not Harp. Kim, what's that? It's this let me get that base because I want to get that. It's a base that like no one can like get access to. Um, it's like Area 51. The guy that worked on Area 51 called a Howard Stern show and was talking and frantic, and then the whole signal shut down. They took not just that particular show off, they took the whole air off. That had never happened before. He was screaming and you just never heard of the guy again. Well, I think he was found. I'm not sure. And then, wake up. People have been trying to put this stuff out there for a minute, and it's not. It will have an effect on you because it's going to change the way society runs. Forever, forever. It's going to change the way society runs. It's going to change everything you think you know about the world forever. Particularly Black Americans. It's going to change it. It's going to for certain ones of us that activate the ones that people were calling crazy. It's going to vindicate a lot of us. But it's going down, and then the outcome is already because things are not playing out um in real time, and so as far as like the things that I know, I'm not going to say too much, but like we already know the ending. We already actually know how this all plays out. By the way, it's just that because a lot of us come from the future. If you pay attention, some of us are actually ancient beings as well, and so we know how this stuff is all going to play out. It's just it's a little too slow for my taste. It's like, damn, this shit is too slow. And that's why when I came out in July, just da, 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 da. Yeah. And then some of the you niggas um yeah, you guys are following like some of these these black power, quote unquote. I know some things about them and they know some things about me. And they are interdimensional beings, some of them. Some of them. Yeah, it's this like this one. August 21st, I had published this. This was also an MSN. Earth's most important telescopes are being shut down by an unknown force. And then it says the UAP, and this was also it says UAP investigation stonewalled by Congress. Uh they trying to let you know it's just they don't they gonna try to they trying to it's not that it's a fake alien invasion, it's just they not trying to tell you that they've been running this shit for that they've been here stonewalled by correctional leaders despite huge public and so this was relating to the UFO UAP related matters established by David Grush and Mark Miley, and so this was published by The Hill. This was on YouTube. um they don't know how to quite control the narrative of this. That information that I had leaked out through um those entities that had contacted me, and some of the things that I have saw, it kind of is like it's kind of like damn, like this is out there. How do we put this out there? How do we put this out there without, so they trying to get it out. But it's like, to be honest, they've been here. Many of you that are appearing as humans, they are interdimensional beings. They are not who you think they are. Um, I am one of them. I'm open. I'm open with my shit. Like I'm open. I really don't give a damn. Because it's time, and it shouldn't have been a secret anyways. It shouldn't have been something that was kept from you in the first place. It just shouldn't have. And so that's where we're at with it. That's where we're at with it. And so It's beyond just the 3D thinking about. I can't see how we can't see that, and I think Black Americans, a lot of you guys, I would let you in on this. Black Americans, for those that may be like, what the hell's going on? Your the gatekeepers, the black gatekeepers, and the black. Why you think they don't do shit for you? They not you. They really not you. um, they running around posing, and some really do care. You know, some really do care. They might have got fucked up in a shitty contract or a shitty deal. You know, and so they gotta act like they gotta keep the system going. But just keep your eyes open and again, go beyond the 3D thinking. That's all I'm saying is I'm trying to push us beyond the 3D thinking because we got a whole advantage and you know it requires that activation of awareness and of I would just say awareness for now because I don't want to promise anything in terms of activation of DNA because I don't know if that's the time for that yet. I'm just not sure. I know with me, with my case, with my situation was very unique and very different. So I can't try to put that on all Black Americans, right? Because it just wouldn't be responsible to do that. And so I'll say at least an activation of awareness of consciousness. And so, um, and by that, it requires just a raising the vibration through love and through balance and harmony with one another and also adhering to our very principles of being a cosmic being, of being a spirit in a physical flesh. And just that alone will raise your frequency considerably collectively to where we will figure out our situation. We will figure it out. And we're not just figuring out how to get no check or they're going to write us a check. Like, no, we're figuring out how to run the whole system, literally. And so these people trying to tell you about the mysterious radio signals reaching Earth and blasting, and the got chief Pentagon guy is resigning because he's admitting, oh, it could be aliens, oh, it could be we foreign powers. Oh my gosh, really? No, oh my gosh, they arguing about this stuff in Congress because. And it's not that they really not trying to fake no alien invasion. It's really not a fake alien invasion. It's not. It's just that they don't know how to get this out to y'all. And it's kind of like, they dealing with some beings I mean, when you mess with CERN machines, that's what happens when you mess with CERN. They mess with them CERN machines and was opening up portals to try to get us. They thought they was letting in certain entities and and it was all a joke. It was all planned out from the get go from higher powers of what was really gonna go down, of how them ancient ones was gonna get back up in this bitch, and how certain entities were gonna get up in this bitch because because we had been trying for the last 2,000 years to send warnings, to send warning shots, and nobody was listening, and so they had figured out a way to get through. Why you think they? Why you don't really hear too much about CERN, do you? Right now, I think they even shut that shit down. Like seriously, August 2020. I'm sorry, August 2022. Man, I'm telling you, I had experience with this shit. I firsthand. um, and so yeah, that's what happens when you mess with the CERN and all that, and try to figure out, oh, how are we gonna get to the throne of God, or how are we gonna, I guess, floodgates the gate of a certain dimension. It's like, nigga, you dealing with an energy that created the galaxies. Good luck. This is not just the energy that created human beings or the energy that created planet Earth. This is the energy that creates all species, the creator of all, the creator that creates all solar systems, all galaxies, all parallel universes. Level of so if you just thought that okay, the universe is mental, all is mental, and no, there's levels above that too. Sorry to say. And so this is what we're dealing with: Age of Divine Feminine, spirals. And I'm speaking in code right now. I'm speaking in code, but I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there because, I'm a mystic and I go into these modes, and I really wanted to keep this video more grounded in terms of, oh, the educational stuff for the Black Americans. But yeah, Black Americans, you're spiritual, so you should be able to understand a lot of what I'm saying and what I'm getting at. This is serious stuff. Um, you're gonna see that. A lot of the stuff I be saying, it ain't gonna hit to like 50 years from now anyways. It's gonna be like, whoa. Um, but it is what it is. I mean, I try to slow it down. I think I was unaware of the level of advance of where I was at, really. I thought that I don't know, I just was in my own little world so much that I just thought that we all, that people, we were all like kind of like on it, understanding these type of things that I understand or that I know. I honestly, that's my fault, just severely underestimating like the level that of consciousness. Like I really just lived in my own little bubble for like 31 years. And had like the Jesus slapped out of me damn near. As far as like, look at what's really going on. Like, girl, like look at this information that you putting out and assess like how dangerous this stuff is. And I'm like, oh. um and so, but it's like that. In 50 years from now, it won't be a big deal at all. It would just be like common knowledge. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Somebody has to take the hits for this type of stuff. So I'll leave you with that. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Are you ready for a mesmerizing linguistic journey? Step into the enchanting world of Tut language, an invaluable part of Black American heritage. Delve deep into this unique language where every word resonates with the rhythm of a resilient culture. Explore thoughtfully designed lessons that unravel the linguistic intricacies of Tut, from pronunciation variations to regional influences. Engage in interactive language games like word matching and pronunciation challenges that will deepen your understanding and sharpen your skills. Dive into live Tut bingo, historical and cultural role-play scenarios, and weekly open mic sessions featuring Tut music and poetry. Don't miss this incredible opportunity to celebrate culture and embrace language. Enroll now and start your Tut language adventure. Enroll now and receive 3 free Tut language books, thoughtfully created by colleague J.N.S. It's an invaluable addition to your learning experience.